Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Ricky Camilleri. He first gained notoriety as one of the McPool brothers on the greatest comedy currently on TV, It's Always Sunny. Last year, he was a part of one of the biggest TV twists of the year with Westworld, and now Jimmi Simpson is investigating the murder of the Notorious B.I.G. in USA's Unsolved. Let's take a look.
Biggie was 24 when he was killed. Tupac was 25. Kids, man.
Maybe I'm foolish, maybe I'm blind, thinking I can see through this and see what's behind.
You're going to try to find out who really killed the Notorious B.I.G.
There is a very real possibility that the murder of Biggie Smalls is directly related to the murder of Tupac. People's lives are getting destroyed. It has to stop.
Is my objective to solve this case or cover the department's ass?
My sons, Christopher and Tupac, were friends.
Look, I got you.
What if it was a white celebrity who got shot?
Get down on your knees!
For us not to make an arrest, it's embarrassing. This case is legendary.
I'm only human, after all, don't put the blame on me.
Everybody, please welcome Jimmi Simpson. Hey, man.
Hey.
Let's talk about how it got brought to you. What was the pitch? Because, I mean, I could see a pitch coming across the desk that's like, you know, the story of Notorious B.I.G. and you're like, okay, are we gonna do this right?
Yes. And I had just come off of doing some really great stuff. I was on Westworld and Black Mirror, and I said to the people that I work with, let's look for something important to do. And then the script shows up a week later, and I read it and was blown away. I was blown away by the truth that I did not know, and the clarity with which Kyle Long articulated it through 3 different timelines. You know, you get to see Pac and Big as buddies, sticking up for each other. You get to see the first investigation didn't go so great, and then you get to see the subsequent investigation, which uncovered a little bit more. But I think people will be just floored when they see how this, all the investigations were not closed properly, and how a lot of things were overlooked. And this was just 23 years ago. And
well, it's another one of those stories similar to, not to box it or categorize it, similar to the O.J. Simpson series that came out a couple years ago, in the sense that just looking back 20-something years ago, things being overlooked because of the viewpoints that people had about race, you know, that things were assumed and then let go because of that.
I think that's why this is so pertinent. And actually the director of the O.J. Miniseries is our director. He was our main creative director, Anthony Hemingway.
Oh, yes. Also from The Wire, too,
From
right?
The Wire.
Yeah.
I met him on Newsroom. I did 2 episodes in Newsroom, and he was just so talented.
So really,
so
we're talking
passionate.
like one of the great sort of drama TV directors right now.
Truly. Yeah. He's one of the greatest directors I've ever worked with, and maybe ever will. I was floored by how artfully he's able to tell this story. And that made me just work harder and harder every day.
Yeah. What does a great director mean on set for you?
Well, for me, a great director is not only proficient and hopefully kind of brilliant at the craft of composition, storytelling, using this 3D medium to basically trick your imagination going, I got this. Watch this. You don't need to create like a book. You don't need to fill in the gaps. We're going to show you everything. And then for me as a performer, I get obsessive about what I'm doing. I want to make sure it's worthy. I want to make sure I'm offering. And so every character I play, I know every reason why they're making each choice that they make. And when a director can handle not only the entire job, but also know my character as well, if not better than I do, it shows me this person is a director. They're a gifted person who has put the work it takes to handle all this material. It's rare, believe it or not. It's rare that you find someone that just blows you away with their work ethic. And Anthony Hemingway is that man.
Because oftentimes, or not oftentimes, but I think sometimes you can find someone who's done the same amount of work that you have done in terms of the director, knowing the story, but their idea of the story and what they know can be completely different than your idea and what you know.
Sure. And sometimes Anthony's take was a little bit different, and he had the vocabulary and the clarity to explain it to me, and I'm like, oh, fuck, yeah, you're right. Yes. Oh, my God, that's so exciting. So then what, if that, why this? He's like, well, maybe this. Shit, this scene is going to be so much more clear now. And, you know, he just killed it with this.
Do you enjoy those conversations around the scene and having that relationship with your directors?
Oh, yeah. I love it.
Have you ever had the situation where a director kind of just wants you to show up and hit your marks and do your thing? And
Of course. I don't care for that. I don't like it. It's like, why are we here? We have this opportunity to tell this story that a lot of people would like to tell. So let's do it right.
let's have some fun.
Let's have some fun and do it right. And especially with something like this, when you're dealing with lost idols, two young men who are just ripped out of their prime before they even hit their prime. And then the actual human beings that follow these cases, there's a lot of responsibility. You don't want to, it's not just about you as the storytellers. You also have to pay homage to what actually happened. And so everybody involved with this project so desperately wanted to share the truth, but also really respected all those that we've lost and all those that are still, that are still here watching their lives played out. It was important.
Well, in terms of the real people, let's talk about your character.
Sure.
Who was your character?
Russell Poole.
Yeah, Russell Poole, one of the original investigators of the murder of Biggie Smalls, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Is he still alive? Were you able to meet?
No, we
getting
lost.
No.
We lost Mr. Poole 2 years ago, in 2015 actually. He was still, he lived his life for the cops. He was through and through. He bled blue. He believed in his father was a police officer, and so he came from a world where LAPD is this bastion of justice, and his whole belief system was built on we're doing right and we're helping the other people who aren't cops. And when he started digging into the Biggie case, he just noticed some problems with the department and their ability to kind of suppress information, some moonlighting that didn't make sense, and he started trying to open up the windows and find out where all of it leads. And he had every door shut in his face. And so he just decided, guys, it's us. We are justice. We can't have holes. And so that's why he was so passionate about getting to the bottom of this, because he cared so much for the confusion Valletta Wallace would have felt from having her son just disappear and have no clear reason why she had to lose her son, because he had a personal loss of his own, and he related to that. And so for a lot of different reasons, the case of Big became his life's focus. And up until the point that we lost him, he was still fighting for the cause, trying to bring new information to the sheriff's department regarding the case, and Suge and all this stuff.
Now, is this your first time playing a cop in anything?
It's my first time playing a real cop.
Right.
And it's the first large role of a cop. I've jumped in before for cop-like characters, but I've never played a by-the-book, Mike Ditka, hair slick back, mustache. I don't care about style or being funny. I just want to get my job done. And it was a completely new experience for me. And Anthony Hemingway, normally I show up to a scene and I bring some kind of levity or something weird or something funny, and this guy is so by the book. And every day during the pilot, I would ask Anthony, really, I can't chime in when they're making jokes in the precinct? He's like, no, you just, shh. And I'm like, all he cares about is the case. Yeah, okay. And I was sure I sucked. I was sure I sucked so bad. And I would go home from the pilot every day going, well, this will be this big stinker I'm offering, I guess, because I feel like I'm just not doing enough, even though I was working my butt off. And Anthony kept going, trust me. And then when I saw the pilot and I saw how he handled the material, how he captured my performance. You know, I don't think I've ever been prouder of a piece of work that
No,
I've
it's smart because he's supposed to stick out from the other cops.
Sure.
And you stick out, but at the same time, you don't have to stick out in the way of that someone would try to make you bring levity or joke around or, you know, be the clown of the office. You just be by the
it's
book
almost the inverse.
And also you have, I think, the wonderful quality of like great character actors, which is like, oh, you might be a little off here. Like you might be a little, and so it's nice to have like this lead character who's doing everything a little bit differently than everybody else, have something behind the eyes that you're curious about.
Yeah.
Without
I think,
over-exploiting it.
I think that was essential because this man's, you know, has been shown as obsessive, as too passionate, and again, with the truth, it's not just East Coast, West Coast for Big and Pac. It's not just Poole was obsessive. These are human beings, and they all did everything they did for a reason. And that's what this show articulates so beautifully, I think.
What are
the humanity of everybody.
One of the strange things about this show, not strange, but a weird feeling is watch people, and I know that they did it because I was alive at the time, take for granted hip-hop.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these guys who are now icons, legends. Hip-hop is, without a doubt, like probably maybe the biggest moneymaker in the music industry. I don't know if that's true, but I'm sure it's close. Yeah. And in this show, everybody takes hip-hop and rap for granted, albeit in a racist way a lot of times, but even in just like it's a fad, it's an underground thing, and the way they talk about Tupac and Biggie is very dismissive.
Absolutely. Even in when it goes to 2007, I mean, in '97, Big was dismissive. You know, Poole's like, why aren't we doing cases like that? What? It's a gangster. What are we doing with that? He had the #1 record in the country at the time he was killed.
Which is when #1 records made money.
Exactly. Yeah, it was just a devastating loss of two artists that were just written off as gangsters, and it's that juxtaposition between the truth. You know, you get to go in with Big and Pac when they meet each other. Pac kind of greets him in L.A. and then he goes and he helps him record. Just to support. And you have that reality as well as their careers soaring, and then you cut to the investigation in '97, and my partner's like, "Wait, what? Who are they? They're rappers. What is that?" And then you have 2007, and Kading was like, "I don't know that music." And that's what's done so beautifully. Is it's just like, this is the truth. This is also the truth, and it was 23 years ago, and we did nothing. We mishandled it because we didn't consider these two lives important enough to just reset everything and get to the bottom of it. We were able to push it under, and it's unacceptable, you know. It's unacceptable, especially when we have so many indications right now with our country in particular. And wait a minute, are we going backward? Like, what's happening here?
Trying to.
Yeah, and so this is just a reminder of, like, we were just sticking on the carpet 23 years ago, and look what we've got. We've got this person that just spews hateful rhetoric at will, as if it's justified, and it indicates, okay, we need to take deeper action. We need to understand oppression and its effects on a much deeper level.
We need to understand how oppression affects the oppressors in terms of psychosis at this point, it feels
like. Oh, God.
Like.
It's,
you know?
Yeah.
They're just unwilling to get over it. No matter what fact, no matter anything that's put in front of their face, the oppressors there's a psychosis happening with them.
It's insanity. It's a desperate, wait a minute, you're taking away my, I get first dibs on everything forever? Yeah, dude. Fuck yeah. Let's even this shit out.
You're also apparently all millionaires and billionaires, so like you're gonna be fine forever.
It's so ridiculous, the amount that they need to have to feel good, because it has nothing to do with clothes on their bodies or anything. It has to do with amounts building and ego and an idea of like, I'm worth this. Fuck you, man. You're just taking from everybody else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, give him a round of applause. I like that you started that.
But it's upsetting.
So I think changing gears just a little bit.
Okay. You can lighten it up.
I know the big twist from Westworld last year, but that doesn't mean that you can't come back. Do you know like what could potentially happen with Westworld?
This is what happens in Westworld season 2. I make jokes that there's people from Westworld with sniper guns ready to take me out if I say one word about the season. No, it somehow gets smarter and more heart and blows your mind even farther into the galaxy. But I can't tell you anything. But everything that I've read and seen filmed just floors me. I mean, Jonah and Lisa, this couple.
Red Scene Filmed. So you are a part of this upcoming season of Westworld.
Is that not
Red Scene
Record?
Filmed. It might be Record.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
It's
probably.
Record, and I didn't do a quick Google search.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I might have seen some things filmed that I was filming too. I might have been a part of a thing.
And you know, you've been since the introduction of the McPool character, you've obviously gotten a lot of success on your own.
Did you just blend the McPoyles and Russell Poole? God damn it.
Oh, excuse me, McBoyle. Excuse me. McBoyle.
They're so similar though, those characters. No.
Very obsessive.
Yeah.
Very obsessive.
Oh my God. Milk or justice? Obsess about something, y'all.
Milk or justice. Will you come back to that show anytime they ask you if it lines up with your schedule? Is that just like, I can't imagine that's not one of your favorite things to do.
I love those guys. And Charlie and I started together living in a tiny shoebox in New York City and then in a shoebox in LA. And I love visiting his set as anytime. They need to just write a script and then give me some notice that they've written one. The last time I only got a couple days notice and I wasn't able to do it. And but I'm sure they'll try again.
Was that tough to have to say that you couldn't do it?
Well, I was just so busy I didn't have the time. But yeah, I mean, it's the funnest set I've ever been on because they're all my friends and basically they're doing what we've been doing for 20 years, which is just before anyone would give us a fucking job, we would just record ourselves being funny and watch it by ourselves because YouTube didn't even exist. And so me and Charlie would just be like, ah, ha, ha, ha. And that's how we learned how to be funny on camera. And then Rob was like, I know how to monetize that. And then he did it. It was good, yeah. I gotta give him a big thumbs up for that.
Let's get some questions from our audience. Who has a question? Right here.
Hey, Jimmy.
Hey, man.
Such a huge fan of your work. I
Thank
was
you so much.
wondering, now that you've played all these wide range of characters, like, is there like one type of character that you enjoy playing or that you gravitate towards?
Not really. Everything has something. I know after playing Russell Poole for 8 months or so, I was just like, I would like to crack some people up. That would be fun. But my favorite thing is I seem to have found a way into these roles where there are multiple layers, and there's the character's being tested and needs to express himself in comedic ways as well as be starkly grounded to the earth and have some kind of emotional stakes. And so, I mean, that's I just feel so fortunate, and that's my favorite thing is a character that has the ability to both maybe crack you up and also take you on his personal journey. I love that.
Next question.
Hello, Jimmy.
Hey, man.
Hey. I wanted to ask, I've seen both films, Notorious and All Eyes on Me, and those are both origin stories.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, do we just jump straight in? I mean, with what we already know, or like how close do we get to the truth of these?
That's a great question. I think that this telling of this story is so different than any other telling, specifically because the things we've seen have been kind of articulations of a take versus other takes. And with Unsolved, you've got several takes shown to you more clearly than you've ever even imagined. You didn't know and so much of this information. So whether or not you're super versed or whether you know nothing, like my father, who is white as snow and is 75 years old, and as he started watching it, Big showed up, Wavy Jones, wickedly talented, and my father says, "Is that Tupac?" I said, "No, it's not Tupac." And then they watch, and then 15 minutes later, he's like, "Jimmy, this show is great." I'm like, "Okay." And then at the end, he's like, "I can't wait for more." not only he doesn't know what hip hop is, and he was so moved by the truth. And then for you, who knows what you're talking about, you're gonna be like, oh shit, that was a biased take that I'd heard. Because we're not messing with anybody. We respect everything that happened, and we want to be honest. And you will have information. I believe we're showing you what happened. Yeah.
Who's the young man that plays Tupac in it?
Mark Rose.
Yeah, he's great.
He's
But that is
so good. Mark and Wavy showed
role.
up. Yeah.
Like, I mean, because Tupac is hands down one of the most charismatic performers, faces the camera has ever recorded.
Yeah.
I mean, you go back and watch Gridlocked or music videos, any Juice, he's just beautiful. The camera just eats up everything he does.
Truly.
And this guy does a great job, but there's moments where I'm just sort of like, God, those are hard shoes to fill. This, like, that would weigh on, I feel like that would weigh on an actor, you know?
I was so impressed by both these guys jumping in to play icons. Wavy sent in a tape, you know, struggling hip hop artist from North Carolina sent in a tape. I think he stuck it on YouTube so that they could see it. He wasn't, you know, and then Mark had a couple shots here and there. Neither of them had played roles like this, and they both were there every day. Even when they weren't working, if the other one was working, they'd show up in support for the whole day. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. Just absolute commitment. This is us, you and me. We're going to get this. We're going to make these guys come back to life, and we're going to do it right. And so I don't think I've ever been so impressed with first-timers ever, as much as Wavy and Mark.
I think time for one more question. Hi.
Hi.
Hey.
So our last question is coming from an online viewer.
All right.
Izzy wants to know, how aware were you about Tupac and Biggie's murders at the time they actually happened? Did you have questions then, or did that only happen during the filming of Unsolved?
Solid question, and I think a lot of us, my experience was, at the time of the murders, that was my intro to their music beyond like one or two songs that I heard, and then I heard a little bit more. And then I heard all the kind of like rumors of like, well, it's bullshit, or it's this thing, or maybe Pac's still alive, and it's just reduced to a gang war. And so because of all this information and misinformation, I just kind of didn't know. And it wasn't like, oh, I bet there's something shady in there, or I bet there's a truth that they're not telling. It's just, it sounded like chaos. So I didn't look into it.
That's exactly what it sounded like.
Yeah, it's a total overlooking of what had happened. And that's what this show does. It says, we should have been paying attention. We should have been paying attention. We need to pay more attention. And I think that's the message.
Jimmy, I love the show. Congratulations.
Thank you. I love the show too.
It premieres, yeah.
I also like you.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Tomorrow night? Is it tomorrow night on USA?
Yeah. Tomorrow night,
Yeah.
Tuesday, 10 on the USA.
Unsolved, the murders of Tupac and Notorious B.I.G. Jimmi Simpson, everybody. Let's hear it.
Oh, come on.